What's up, everybody? It's Lids, and we're back for some more Mardek. And last time, we built out quite the team. We picked up both Elwian and Gloria, and so we did not quite get the chance to test them out in combat just yet, but we theorized as to what that might be like. So hopefully we'll get the chance to do that today. Other than that, we will check out the Dream Circle area that Gloria was telling us about. The other thing is, I think we've seen a lot of Slinic lately, so maybe let's make a point of working with primarily the characters that are newest to the team. That, of course, being Gloria and Elwian. We've done a little bit with Solar, but not much, so why don't we throw them in as well? And supposedly, Gloria put that special location on our map. We have yet to double check just yet, but I assume that that is now somewhere where we can go. So let's take a peek here. And we see there's this new spot up here at the Dream Cave that sounds like that's probably it, right? Okay. And it has the same type of music we hear whenever we're talking to Gloria, which is fitting, I suppose. So here we find one of these dramatic green circles. I think we've seen some of these previously. One of them actually in the cave in which we originally saw Gloria, the zombie-proof cave, as well as, if I'm not mistaken, we also saw one in the Tainted Grotto back in Chapter 2, if you can think back to that. So, what exactly is the deal here? What just happened?
And here it is, the Dream Realm. You might find it difficult to get used to at first. What with the mind soup being very distracting, but we look like ourselves here because we're actually mental projections of how we think of ourselves as being. Most people are so used to their physical body that it's what they look like here. But, Mardek, I feel you've been hiding things from us.
Mardek?
What happened to your head?
It's Rohoff!
Yes, it would seem that the conventional material cover has been removed. Alas.
And we've never seen an Anukai without the big robes covering their heads. Typically, we're only seeing their eye and maybe a little bit of the black around that, but apparently that's what their heads look like. An Anukai! A gasp from me, full of astoundment and shockism. Unexpected, unknown.
Why are you here, dog-like person thing? I thought only Ellie and I and now, Mardek could do this.
I am quite at home within the Dream Realm. I've traversified it to here many a time prior. Big walking is second nature to my ilk. What? Solar is accustomed to whatever this place is?
Okay then. And Elwian's here because I taught her the techniques to get here. I can see that there's something strange about you though, Mardek. I can see why you were able to travel with us here without training. Yes, my kind are used to this too. Seems humans are rarities for having to learn. And actually, you can call me Rohoff.
Rohoff, I think this is actually the first time that you've explicitly stated your name to other people, or even acknowledged the fact that you are basically an entirely separate being from Mardek.
I am not Mardek.
There you have it.
I am a companion of his. Of a sort. I assure you, I have nothing to worry about, but I merely grant him my powers due to a childhood incident. It is how he is able to heal.
Rohoff, you're not supposed to give up our secrets like that. Here was the guy who, mere minutes ago it seemed, was saying how, hey, Mardek, I get that you're trying to get some allies, but don't get too close to them, don't share too many secrets, it's just a risk. Our enemies could use that information against us. Now here he goes blabbering on about our deepest and darkest secrets. Come on, man, get with the program.
I see. I always wondered about that. I will accept you as you are for now, and since Mardek doesn't openly talk about you, then I'll follow suit and keep your secret, if that's what it is.
Gloria gets it, more than Rohoff does, apparently.
I don't know what to think of you anymore, Mardek. Or, not Mardek? Or whatever you are? I don't know if I'll look at you the same way again. And where is Mardek now, anyway? He is here, but I'm afraid that he lacks the mental ability to manifest in any form in this realm.
Mardek, no, come on, man. He's not smart enough.
Which is why I shall be taking his place here. Anything I learn will be transferred to his mind when we return to the world of soils and stars. Right, good then. Now that we're here, I suppose I don't really need to show you anything, if you already know how to do this. So let's do the other thing I wanted to bring you here for.
This wasn't enough? You had other things in mind?
This cave is really sketchy because not enough people here thought about it, and as you surely know, everything in the Dream Realm, which is a lower subset of the Fig Realm, is comprised of mind stuff and made whenever sentient minds think thoughts.
Okay, there's a lot in that, so let's unpack that for a second. There's the Fig Realm, and this is a sub-order of the Fig Realm, and it's made of people's mind stuff. This place exists because people think of it. Okay. Try to wrap our minds around that.
Towns and houses are usually really detailed because people can remember and analyze their details. But places like this are thought about more as general layouts. Nobody thinks about things like the individual stones. I've always found it really fascinating how things linger here. Like, if a house was lived in for years and thought about a lot, an image of it would appear. But if it was knocked down in the material, it'd take a long time for it to fade here, because minds remember it being there more than they remember it not being there.
That is interesting.
Anyway, I'm probably just nattering on about magic to a magus, so I'll get to my point. This cave's been shaped by me and used by me for storing things since I became the shaman. There's a special talisman deep inside that I want to get for our journey. It'll allow our whole party to walk in the Dream Realm at other dream circles. I'm sure it'll be very useful.
Okay, so that would seem to suggest that those green circles that we saw in the past were all dream circles.
So come along then. Let's go and find it.
Oh, okay. So if we take a look at the map here, it seems that there is this area where previously we came through here, but there's no door anymore. Instead, we have this area here where if we were to step on this green circle, we would come back to the physical, material world. There's also this area here that extends into the rest of this cave. Okay, it's a lot bigger in the Dream Realm, apparently. And there are 3 chests in here. Who knows what we'll find other than that magical talisman she was talking about. And also, some of those walls that we've seen previously. There's a green one. We'll be looking for some switches as well, it would seem. But what exactly is this place? Uh-oh. And there are monsters in here, too. And what the heck are those things? Whims? So it's a chromatic soul, a figment, and whatever the heck those things mean. 10 strength, 10 vitality, 20 spirit, so it is very spirit heavy. 30 attack, 20 physical defense, so it's going to be hard to deal physical damage to it. And then 10 magic defense, so it does seem like, although it does have some magic defense, it is probably still the way to go. So, it is now Elwian's turn. She is our fastest character, and like I was saying before, her skills are a little mysterious. How exactly do they work? Spirit Song supposedly boosts all magic damage of party members based on Elwian's spirit, but let's try it out. So she'll play Spirit Song here. As she's doing that, let's continue going with our other party members, and Solar, maybe that means it's worthwhile to use some spells, because presumably they're going to be a little more powerful. Now, are these guys particularly strong or weak to a specific element? And the answer is actually that they're fairly weak to light and dark, or at least compared to elements here that have 50% resistance. So that would suggest that something like Solar Flare with Solar might be a good idea. I have no idea how much damage we should expect to deal, so maybe we target the one with less HP. I would think Solar might be capable of dealing more damage than some of the other characters based on how we're talking about spells, and we're talking about light spells, whereas that's not necessarily something that other people are going to be able to do, but let's give this a shot. Yeah, definitely capable. And they use Whimsical Flame on Mardek / Rohoff. And that dealt a reasonable amount of damage. In fact, a little over 200, and if we look at Elwian's HP, that would almost be enough to take her out. So all the more reason why it is really important for us to try to get her to level up a few more times, because she's going to be very vulnerable, at least at the beginning. So then we have Gloria, who can use Razor Leaf, which conjures up a flurry of razor-sharp leaves to inflict earth damage on one or more targets. Vitality is also lowered. Interesting, so it deals damage, but it also lowers vitality, which means that maximum HP goes down as well. So, in theory, that means that even if our enemy were to, say, heal after getting damaged by Razor Leaf, their max HP would be lower, they'd still be worse off than when they were before the initial Razor Leaf happened. So, that might be interesting in some circumstances, that might make a difference. Otherwise, she can also use Earth Heal, restore HP to the entire party, and also cures poison. Or Bark Skin? Gives the Bark Skin status effect to a single target. This status grants a bonus to defense based on the caster's spirit stat. Okay, that's interesting. So it's a way of building up some defenses, almost like a physical shield, although it is technically its own separate status, so you could have both those things. Let's try this Razor Leaf, though. See how much damage this does. 85 is the answer, which is not really the number we were looking for. As for those physical attacks, this Whim does have fairly high physical defense. I missed the reaction, and yet still it was enough to take it out, so it does seem that Solar and Mardek are going to be the best people to attack. So I suppose we might expect to run into more of those types of enemies. And we see that there are apparently even more walls here. So we'll have to find where all those switches are. And take a close look at our map, because this place seems like it could get very confusing. Okay, so more Whims and also a Forgotten Face. Again, it is this element here, which we had not previously seen on any other enemies until we saw these people here. What element is this exactly? Well, the answer is that is Fig, quite simply, which is the element of the mind. We've heard little bits and pieces about it here and there. It is far and away the most unusual element that we've seen thus far. As for how we take this guy out, 30 physical defense, so even less likely for us to be able to deal damage with physical attacks. Mardek, probably not a great fit in this case, but 0 magic defense does mean that that might be a reasonable route for us to take. Let's use Spirit Song again, and it may not have been super obvious as to how much of an effect it was having. However, it was boosting our damage, at least theoretically, so that should mean that we're going to have roughly the same amount of damage here with Solar, and it was on the order of about 300, right? So we should probably take out the one with the most HP here. Should have more than enough to do that. Oh, except we were saying we wanted to get the Forgotten Face, because Mardek is not going to be so good at taking that one out, so yeah, that probably should have been our priority in that case. For some reason, I was thinking the Whim with the most HP, not the Forgotten Face. So we did get Solar actually took 2 hits there, and I missed one of the reactions, so Solar is not looking great. That seems like that might be reason enough to use an Earth Heal here, which we don't even have the option of making it a single person heal. It can only be a group heal, which is somewhat significant because it does mean that the MP cost is going to be a little bit higher. Also means that, unlike with Mardek, we can't focus on one specific person and increase the total amount of healing. We're spreading it a little bit across the whole group. It is still enough to get Solar to maximum HP though, because Solar, like Elwian, has very low starting HP. That is certainly one of the other risks of taking the group of people that we took here. So this Whim, I think Mardek will still be able to take this one out. Yes. Let's save the Forgotten Face for Solar. And so now that we get back to Elwian, as you see here, Elwian is still casting that spell. She will continue to do so unless and until we tell her to do something else. So say if we were to direct her to use an attack, she would interrupt her spells and then suddenly she would start attacking. So basically what she does is she uses these songs, plays them in the background, and then generally speaking, unless you want to change the song or do something else on her turn, like use an item or use an attack, what you can do is just opt to wait with her, and she'll continue using it. Technically speaking, we might want to continue to actually direct her to use that specific skill so that she masters it more quickly, but that's probably a bit of an aside and only really relevant right now when she still has not yet mastered that active skill. So Solar, this is what I'm saying we probably ought to have done previously, and you do have enough damage for it. And I'm actually not sure if when Elwyn is playing those songs, if they continue to get more and more powerful with each subsequent turn, because what we saw there was Solar on the first round dealt about 320 damage, and then second time round dealt upwards of 400. That would suggest that maybe, in fact, the song is getting progressively stronger as time goes on. Okay, so there are a couple of chests here, but it looks like those are the things that are hiding behind those walls. So this might be the way to go. And it's a talisman of Oneros, a little idol of Oneros, the Dreamweaver, which is enchanted to allow even the uninitiated to walk in the Dream Realm. With it in your possession, any of your allies can use dream circles. Awesome. So, okay, we're going into this fight here. More whims. Let's use another spirit song. Oh, actually, did it say that we used our active skill twice in that previous battle? No, I think only once, so we probably do want to tell Elwyn to use it every turn and not just press the wait button. As for Solar, you unfortunately are not able to hit multiple people with your spell here. In case you're wondering, Lids, why don't you just take out multiple with Solar? Can't attack multiple. Can only target one. So, for that reason, that's why we ought to target the one with the most HP, like we were saying previously. Again, a little bit above 300, somewhere in the mid-300s there. And we see these whims can actually use both spells and physical attacks. As for Gloria, you will ultimately need to master all these abilities. That is a lot. So I'm kind of wondering what the best route might be for you to take. I feel like Bark Skin might be the one that takes the most effort for us to do here, since only under very specific circumstances are we probably going to want that. So let's throw it on Elwyn, because like we were saying, she's theoretically the most vulnerable, and gives people a good spray tan here. So you see that Elwyn looks like she just got back from vacation. As for Mardek, I think we probably use an attack here, right? Take out the next highest HP win. No problem there. So as I was saying previously, whenever Elwyn is actively playing a song, when her next turn begins, the game will actually start with her hovering over the wait option like this. So that's why it's so convenient to say, just press the X button, and we're good. We keep on doing what we were doing before. However, let's actually direct her to use it again this way, and that way it does give us one more use toward mastering the skill. Then the Solar Flare should be enough to take out this win. And yeah, again, it looks like that attack is getting stronger and stronger the longer the fight goes, I suspect, because it is Elwyn's song making Solar stronger and stronger. And here we get some Fig Essence, which is a crafting item, yes, definitely not one we've seen before. We've seen Dark and Light Essence, but I suppose this could be a way to get it. And what I was starting to say earlier before that previous fight was that we may have lucked out a little bit and happened to have chosen a few people who are mentally capable of going into the Dream Realm, even without that talisman, because we picked up that talisman for the purpose of making it so that anyone could go in here, except we already had a full party of people who could do it. So I think that was mostly just a coincidence. But now, say, other people like Charla, Donovan, Slinik would be able to do it too, because I'm assuming they don't have any experience with going in here, unless they're also keeping some pretty big secrets. Okay, so Solar, same idea. And these guys, ooh, they're targeting Elwyn. Okay, at least only one of them is, not both. So I think we escaped just barely in that case. We'll give her some Bark Skin again, just to play it safe. Mardek, again. Take out this guy. Crit helps too. Elwian will tell you to use Spirit Song once more, even though we don't need to. And then Solar will flare it up. That time, as much as 500. Wow. Oh, that may have actually been because I might have missed it there, but I'm pretty sure Solar did level in one of these battles. These new characters that we added here, they are low enough level, like Elwian being level 9 compared to Mardek's 23, that they should level pretty quickly. So that might be why Solar has already done so. Does that change anything in terms of abilities? And we don't have a lot equipped at the moment. I think that is partially because Solar is actually a little bit tricky from an equipment standpoint. You see here, well, what the heck? All we have is 2 accessories and a weapon. Why don't we put on, say, a chest plate or a helmet? Good question. So we can definitely do some of those things. As for what we ought to start with, well, we could see if Solar can wear a helmet. The answer to that is apparently no. So in that case, we may not have much in terms of what we can put on Solar's head. I don't think so at the moment. We might need to double back to our item storage and see what else we could use. However, say if we were to opt for a chest plate instead, could we do a medium or heavy armor like Mardek and other physical attackers? No, definitely not. Robes, maybe? Not that either. Solar is very picky in that way. I mean, I suppose it makes sense that human armors and robes don't fit on Runaires that are basically wolves, but as for what does, I'm not sure we have anything yet. So, for that reason, it's going to be quite tough to find anything to put on. We may just have to be patient. And the other thing is, I think we will actually find that we have accessed all the areas in this cave that we can currently access. We went through up here, that's where we found the quest item. However, we didn't see any switches. I think we would only find walls, and more walls if we were to try to go over here to pick up these 2 chests. So, as for how we will ultimately get through there, not entirely sure yet. But we may just have to wait on that as well. So this time, let's try to make a point of targeting the Forgotten Face with Solar. And we hope that we have enough damage on the Solar Flare. We definitely do. And Gloria has now taken, her fair share of hits. And I forgot to heal Elwian, or Gloria for that matter, in between battles. And we definitely should have done that. So that's what we get for forgetting that. So, we could have done an Earth heal. Yeah, that probably would have made more sense than putting on Bark Skin. But let's continue to put on Bark Skin anyway. And now we get to see how much of a difference it makes in terms of how much damage was coming from Elwian, and how much damage was coming from just Solar with their spells. Because here, what did we have on the previous one? Also, Solar's starting to run out of MP. I think it was actually north of 400? Or no, north of 500, I think, on the previous one. So this time around, what do we have? 200. 278. So, slightly more than half the damage? That would suggest that Elwian's songs, they do make a big difference. So let's make a point now of going out of our way to heal up our characters, because, they could probably use that. And that is kind of crazy that Elwian, from 1 HP, only takes 1 heal to go up all the way to full HP. So yes, all the more reason to try to give her some more experience, some better items, get her to be a little bit tankier than she currently is. It's not saying much, but anyways, I believe that is just about it in terms of what we could do in that area there. If we wanted to, we could use the save crystal here to, say, look at our item storage, and perhaps nab some items off of other people, say the black hat, and throw that on Solar. So Solar can wear hats, but not helmets, much like many of our spellcasters. But I still don't think we're going to find anything that Solar can use on the chest plate. So that's going to continue to be something we'll have to search for. Does mean that Solar will, of course, be able to now use the Magic Dark Resistance reaction, and that is quite good, so all the more reason to do that. Solar is also Light Elemental, so that would normally be an area where Solar would have a lot of weakness. So this is 80% Dark Resistance even before we account for that reaction, so that'll be quite useful. Let's head out. We could, of course, swap over our party members and see what it's like to have Flinick or Charlotte or Donovan in the Dream Realm like that, but I think we'll have opportunities to do that in the future. Now, what I want to do is I actually want to head back to Cosnor for a second here, and as for why that is because if you remember previously, Meriador was saying how, yes, the Metal Man is technically finished, however, there's no soul inside it, and it would require a powerful mage for us to be able to get that soul. And, well, we did just pick up a shaman in our party, and maybe that would fit the bill. So we'll talk to Meriador while he's sleeping. Without that book or powerful caster, someone as powerful as a shaman, there's nothing more I can do except stand here and look at him. Oh, whoa. I'm a shaman, if that's any help. You are? You are indeed. You're the new young shaman of Canonia. I see. What brings you here? Oh, I'm traveling with Mardek now. Isn't that bad for Canonia? Because without a shaman? We already went over all this. No, it's not. Nothing ever happens there. They don't need me, etc. I see. May I ask you a question? Do you know of any arcane magics that would be capable of, say, binding a soul to a physical object? I've read about things like that, but they're dark magic spells. They're cruel, dragging a soul from the soul plane to be trapped in an object, unliving, just for the perverse pleasure of some sick wizard. But you misunderstand my motives. I know the spells are dark magic, but you see, this metal man here, I made him. I've made his body, but he can't move, you see, for he is not yet alive. He needs a soul. What, you trapped some poor, helpless soul in that metal skeleton because you want that? Gloria does not approve. It would be a great experience for the soul. You see, I've constructed a very complex magical brain in which the soul could dwell. It would be able to control the shell as one would a body, but it would be incarnated, fully grown, and as such, may even remember its memories from its previous life. If successful, it would be a tremendous breakthrough in our understanding of the very nature of life itself. I see. I'm actually astounded, honestly. That, I believe, is something a soul would love to experience, I'm sure. So, I highly approve of what you're doing now that I understand it more. I've always wondered what it's like in the soul plane, too. We know people get reincarnated here if they want, but they don't really remember things because their minds as children can't handle the memories and just discard them instead. So yes, I know of the dark magic spells that would be required, but I don't have them or anything. I know there was a spell book that I read about. It's in some library somewhere. Probably in the big library in Aeropolis, if I remember correctly. But when we do find it, it'll list a whole bunch of ingredients that we'll need for the spell. That's how these powerful summoning spells work. Since it's such a potent spell, the ingredients will likely be really rare. I am prepared to search to the ends of the world to find them. My creation, it must live. I should pack and set off on a journey, then.
You plan on fighting the things by yourself? Well, I almost asked you, Mardek, but it would be a long excursion, a long way out of your way. You are a loyal friend, but I could never ask that. It is something that I need to do myself. Well, how about if you just come with me and we could do it together? I don't mind. But that would mean going into the depths of battle alongside you in situations for which I might be inefficient. But if it meant finding a soul for my precious creation, the idea is sound. I'll come with you then. Well, great. It's good to have you with us, sir. I'm really interested to get to know you better. Actually, you seem really interesting. Well, thank you, lass. Oh, Meriador. Mardek, I have been inventing a lot over the last few years, and even trying my hand at a bit of combat, actually. I've designed several weapons, you see, though I'm afraid they're only usable by myself. Many are also merely blueprints because I lack the parts I would need. Check my workshop over there to see. If we ever gather the parts that I need, we could come back here and I could assemble them. Well, I'll remember that. Now, let's set off to adventure and such. And there you have it. We are further expanding our team here. We now have Meriador, so he's a fire elemental, level 10 inventor, with just under 400 HP, and, well, let's check him out further. Now, we do have 3 party members who are all relatively recent additions here. I suppose Solar is the one that's been with us the longest, although not by much, other people that we currently have in the active party. So let's swap out Solar in that case, and take a closer look at what Meriador has to offer. So like we said, level 10 inventor, has base 13 strength, which is roughly average, a little bit below that. 15 vitality, about average. 16 spirit, slightly above average. And 12 or so agility, slightly below average, but all in all, fairly well-rounded there. Then in terms of Meriador's inventory, he has a thermal spanner. Of course, the inventor is using a spanner, right? An invention for use by an inventor. It's a large spanner, the end of which is kept superheated by some kind of special gizmobob or something. It can be used as a fire elemental physical attack on a single foe, which lowers defense. It also sometimes causes numbness. So, its skill is Thermal Spanner, the name of the item itself, and it also is Fire Elemental with +1 strength. Let's check out what else we have here. The Scoping Lens as the helmet, 1 defense, 1 magic defense, roughly on par with the typical types of helmets we would see. Not on par with the Minstrel's Tiara, though, that Elwian has, that's amazing. It's an elaborate yet delicate headset made by Meriador for examining his inventions closely. It can be used to increase his accuracy in battle. So it gives plus 10% magic damage as an offensive reaction, and that means that if this is something that Mardek and or other characters could wield, then that's something that could be a way for people who would not otherwise have access to magic offensive reactions to get the chance to learn those. Also, plus 50% accuracy for physical reaction. Okay. Also gives +1 agility. Not sure why a helmet that has a magnifying glass on it gives +1 agility, but okay. 100% resistance to blindness, that maybe makes a little more sense. And 100% resistance to curses. Okay. Sure. And no sign here that this is something that only Meriador can equip, therefore it would seem as though anyone could use it. In which case, yeah, this would be a great way for our more physically oriented characters that happen to have some spells to still have the ability to power up those spells a little bit with an offensive reaction.
Then we have the Inventing Coat, which is a robe with 5 defense and 2 magic defense, which is also fairly high. However, I think generally speaking, most of the robes that we've seen have been the other way around. Higher magic defense, lower physical defense, as you see here with Gloria's robes. So it's a sturdy long coat made from leather, perfect for use in the laboratory, but also adequate protection in battle too. Convenient. So it has the minus 20% physical damage reaction, which would actually be something that would be somewhat difficult for many mages to pick up. So that's also not bad, and also probably something that we want to have other mages use. So it also has plus 50 HP, which, especially for the new characters that have low HP, that'd be quite a bit. 50% fire resistance is a fair amount as well, and 100% resistance to confusion, so across all those things, that actually means that Meriador, using his starting equipment, has resistance to a lot of different statuses. And as well, has a cog necklace, which is fitting because this is, of course, the item that Meriador gave us with our first quest in Chapter 1, or first side quest, I suppose. And again, would give resistance to another status effect. So, that's very interesting, and we do actually have a couple of free accessory spots here that we probably should fill up. We have the green beads here, which is a necklace made of green earthy beads. We used this back in Chapter 2 on a couple of occasions, mostly for the little bit of earth resistance and pretty high magic defense, which was helpful when we were facing all of Morik's friends who were generally either earth or dark elemental. However, it is another one of those items that has one of those tree active skills, which, of course, we now know means that Gloria can learn an ability from that, and it is Null Earth Once, which is very similar to the Morality Block skill that Mardek learned back at the beginning of Chapter 3, in that it will be able to stop us from taking any damage from an Earth attack once on whichever character we apply that to. So that'll be interesting. And then Meriador has one other spot as well as for what we ought to put there. Could be any of a number of things, because these are, of course, new characters that have not yet mastered any skills. So, looks like we mostly have things hanging out in Mardek's inventory. In which case, do we say, put on something for some additional HP? That might be kind of helpful, seeing as how most of the people we've been talking about here do not have much in the way of HP right now. So let's do that. And then, Elwian, remind me. You have multiple ways to get this reaction here? You do. So, theoretically, your magic blouse and your gold ring are a little bit redundant here. They are both teaching you the minus 10% physical damage reduction. So, for that reason, I think it probably makes sense for us to do something similar for Elwian. If we happen to have another one of those body crystals that might be useful, or might even just be better to put on Elwian. And other than that, that would mean that we're looking for something to put on Meriador here. Could he learn Insomnia? I'm pretty sure that's what you learned from the Cog Necklace, so that'd be a little duplicative as well. What about... we probably should just go to check our items at the item stash. But the Amethyst as well, he's currently getting 100% confusion resistance, so he doesn't necessarily need to learn Clarity, at least not while he's also using his coat. But presumably at some point in time we will swap this over, and it would be helpful to have permanent confusion resistance by learning Clarity. So let's equip some of those skills. He has just enough RP as well. There's that offensive magic reaction we were talking about. Likewise, physical defensive reaction and the accuracy. So those are some very unusual reactions overall from Meriador and his gear. And then, I guess we never applied the physical reaction for Elwian, or any of the reactions for that matter. And so many of these are so good. We have minus 10% physical damage, which is the straightforward one that we've seen many people pick up before. However, we were talking previously about the dark resistance, physical, not magical. So that is unique to Elwian, at least at the moment. And then evasion 50%. That sounds like that could be huge for us because, like we were seeing earlier, when Elwian gets hit, it's almost enough to take her out almost all the time. So, it would seem like if we could make it so that she doesn't get hit half the time, then that would make it a lot easier to keep her alive. It does use up all of her RP though, unfortunately, so all the more reason for us to try to load up on RP for her, because we would love to get the combination of all these things, and Survivor makes it so that she always survives any killing blow with 1 HP remaining, unless you're already at 1 HP, in which case, you still die. So this would be a great way for us to not have to worry so much about her getting quote-unquote one shot, because she'll at least hang on with 1 HP, which will give someone like Mardek the chance to follow up and heal her, bring her back above 1 HP. However, at the moment, that costs 10 RP, we only have 7, so we can't make it happen just yet. But we'll throw on the additional plus 10% HP, which 10% of almost nothing is not a lot, but gotta start somewhere, right? Gloria, we can have Nature's Favor, which is Nature's Power, granting a 20% resistance to poison, silence, sleep, and paralysis. It's not guaranteed to make any of those things completely go away, but certainly still helpful. And she does have the Bangle, which is giving her the plus 20% HP passive skill. She does need this to learn one of her active skills, so it probably does make sense to keep this on her for the time being, but by the same logic we were using on Elwian earlier, it'd be nice for her to get plus 20% HP as well. Magic defensive reactions, magic offensive reactions, physical reactions, and Soul Strike. And then I think there's one other thing we can do here, is we previously put on the gold helmet on Mardek, but we didn't actually equip that skill. But we'll see here that, as it turns out, he has enough RP to use double gold, even though it costs 10 RP. He can still equip something to resist a status of some variety or put on the HP or MP. Let's stick with HP for now, but that gives us some flexibility, so that'll be helpful if we find that there's some particular type of status that we're going to expect to see a lot of, then we can swap that over. So with that, I think this is probably a good place for us to wrap up here. Does the party ever stop growing? We'll just have to wait and see.